Okay, and we are live on YouTube as well. Darcy, will you be speaking on the Loyalist College slides in Spanish as well?
I certainly can, of course, yes.
Oh, wow, I just hope the language is so interesting. I hope I don't forget that I have to start speaking next.
I will try to give you a prompt.
Yes.
Maybe saying, okay, Stacy, or something like that.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. And please do the same when and where you would like me to speak in Spanish on your slides. If you want, then I'm happy to do so.
Of course, yes. For those of you all who have just joined us, good morning. My name is Stacey, and we shall be starting today's webinar very soon. We're just waiting for a few more attendees before we can get started on our English and Spanish webinar. Today's webinar specifically talks about studying in Canada without IELTS. So if you are looking forward to coming here and have problems with English language, do not worry, as we are going to be talking about different ways that you can still come to Canada and study.
Nosotros vamos começar a apresentação daqui a momento. Nosotros somos esperando mais pessoas chegar. Nosotros vamos falar hoje da possibilidade de vir estudar o Canadá. Se vocês têm dificuldades falando inglês, nosotros vamos mostrar as possibilidades de vir ao Canadá sem inglês aperfeiçoado.
Perfect. Okay, someone just mentioned that they did not understand what is going on. So for those of you who have just joined again, the webinar is going to be held in English and Spanish. We will be talking on the same content in both languages, so that even if you do not know Spanish, this webinar is for you, as I will be talking about the English bits. So do not worry. And for those who are here for the Spanish parts, our guest today, Dr. Darcy Donnan, will be speaking in Spanish for you to get a better understanding about studying in Canada without IELTS. So stay tuned as we shall be starting in a few minutes.
Solo para clarificar, nosotros vamos a comenzar daqui momento. Me desculpa, no hablo un español perfectamente, mas espero que ustedes podrían me entender. Nosotros vamos a hacer esta apresentação tanto em inglês como em espanhol.
Okay, good morning, everybody. We shall be starting the webinar now. So thank you so much for waiting and for joining us this morning. As you all know, today's topic is about studying in Canada without IELTS. So without wasting any much time, let me just share my presentation with all of you. Okay. My name is Stacy. A lot of y'all have connected with me already on WhatsApp, but today's guest is Dr. Darcy Donnan. If y'all have watched our previous videos, y'all would know that he is an international recruitment manager at Loyalist College. And today's webinar, he will be speaking in Spanish and explaining how you can study in Canada without IELTS. Dr. Darcy, would you like to say hi to our attendees?
Sí, gracias. Hola. Más una vez a todos. Más una vez, yo hablo español, mas como yo hablo portugués mejor, yo voy a hablar más en portuñol, mas yo estoy sabiendo que hablando con personas en América Latina, que es posible para que nos podamos se entender. Então, vou fazer minha melhor de falar espanhol como possível durante essa apresentação.
Thank you very much for that introduction, Dr. Darcy. We are very happy that you could join us and especially that you could speak to our viewers in Spanish as well. So viewers, I hope today gives you a better understanding on Canada, why you would prefer Canada over other countries, and how you can come here and study without IELTS. So as most of you all know, Canada is the second largest country in the world by land mass. It has a total of 9.9 million square kilometers and is composed of 10 provinces and 3 territories, with Ottawa being the capital city of Canada. It is the first country to adopt a multicultural policy which embraces diversity. As you all know, Canada has one of the best educational systems in the world. It is recognized worldwide for its outstanding quality of education. From elementary school to post-secondary studies, Canada has 11 of the top 250 universities in the world. University of Toronto is ranked number 1 in Canada and 23rd in the world. University of British Columbia is ranked number 2 in Canada and is ranked 38th in the world, while McGill University is ranked number 3 in Canada. Canada has been consistently ranked as one of the safest nations in the world. In 2018, the Global Peace Index ranked Canada as the 6th peaceful country across the globe. As international students, you'll enjoy the same rights as any Canadian. Darcy, would you like to speak a little about Canada and explain to our students about its multicultural population?
Sim, um prazer. Então, por que o Canadá? Por que estudar e trabalhar no Canadá? Como Stacy estava falando, o Canadá tem uma população muito multicultural, tem um sistema de educação muito bem valorizado no mundo inteiro e tem oportunidades de vir estudar o Canadá e, ao mesmo tempo, de ter oportunidades de trabalhar ao mesmo tempo. O Canadá tem várias universidades com rankings importantes, o Canadá como no mundo. Okay, Stacy?
Perfect. So now that you all have learned about Canada and about how vast Canada is and how many people come to Canada to study, let's look at Loyalist College. This is a college where Dr. Darcy works. This college also supports students who want to come to Canada without IELTS. So without further ado, Dr. Donnan, could you give us a little gist about what Loyalist College is, about the programs, and anything that you find important?
Sim. Eu vou falar pouquinho mais sobre Loyalist College e as oportunidades que nós temos, falando de carreiras, etc. Mas também vou destacar essa associação que nós outros temos com uma escola de inglês que está em Toronto, que poderia ajudar as pessoas com interesse de vir estudar em Loyalist College, de vir sem fazer o IELTS, o TOEFL ou qualquer outro teste de inglês. É possível porque com essa associação é uma possibilidade para vocês de vir ao Canadá ou agora mesmo durante essa pandemia de ficar em casa em seu país e de estudar inglês com nossa associação com essa escola de idiomas, de línguas, que eu vou apresentar daqui momento. Okay, Stacy?
Okay, so moving on to the location of Loyalist College.
Sim, então, Loyalist College está com 2 campuses. O campus principal está aqui na cidade pequena que se chama Belleville, que está entre Toronto e a capital do Canadá, Ottawa. Mas, ano passado, nós abrimos um novo campus também em Toronto.
So
Okay.
students, Loyalist College has 2 campuses. One is in Belleville and the second is Toronto. As you can see from this map, it's not really very far in distance. And as Dr. Donnan is going to explain in the next slides about campus life, also about the standard of living, about how expensive is Belleville when you compare it to other metropolitan cities such as Toronto and Mississauga. I'll allow Dr. Donnan to speak first, and then I shall explain to you all in English a little bit about Belleville.
Ok. Para falar pouquinho mais sobre o Belleville Campus, o que Stacy está falando é de destacar as diferenças nas custas da vida entre Belleville, uma cidade pequena, e a cidade grande de Toronto. Em Belleville, onde nós temos nosso campus principal, tem uma diferença na custa da vida de entre 40% até 50% de diferença. Então, a custa da vida está muito mais baixo que em Toronto. Mas como nosotros temos nosso campus em Toronto, também nós podemos oferecer oportunidades de estudar conosco em Loyola College, tanto na cidade pequena de Belleville, que está a 2 horas de Toronto, como também em Toronto mesmo. Stacey, please.
Yes. So when you compare the standard of living in Belleville as compared to Toronto, Toronto and Mississauga are comparatively more expensive than Belleville. The standard of living for a student is quite cheaper when you live in Belleville, when you compare the rent, the food, amenities. So a lot of students come to Canada with the mentality thinking that, oh, I do want to stay in Toronto. It seems like such a fast-paced city, but often they do not realize that living in Toronto is going to be very expensive and cost them a lot. And Dr. Don, you can pitch in a little and tell me if I'm missing out on something about Loyalist College being in Belleville and why they would opt for Loyalist College.
Yes, to explain quickly in English, and then I could make a quick translation of this particular point, but the opportunity is exactly as you're saying, Stacey. The main campus in Belleville offers a very high quality of life and lower cost of living than the campus in Toronto. But as I was explaining a moment ago in Spanish, the opportunity with Loyalist College today is twofold, because we have the main campus with the majority of our programs being offered in Belleville. But for those students who are really interested in coming to Toronto, we can offer them that opportunity now, as we have a new campus in Toronto with also a very interesting selection of programs.
Okay, perfect. Sounds good. Moving on to the programs.
Ok. Entonces, nossas carreiras aqui, nós temos carreiras no nível de graduação como de pós-graduação, em várias áreas, como é possível de ver aqui, nas áreas de biociências, por exemplo, de negócios, também de engenharia, de saúde, como nas áreas também de TI, média e outras áreas. Please, Stacey.
So students, as you all can see on the slide right now, these are some of the programs that are offered at Loyalist College. They include both undergraduate and postgraduate programs. For example, if you were a student and you were interested in media studies, you are not limited to just one program. As you can see from this slide, media studies also has advertising, creative design, film, animation, and much more. So you do have a lot of options to choose from. Likewise, if you were an engineering student, like you all can see on the slide, you can get into chemical engineering, civil, construction, electrical. So you do have a plethora of options that you can select from at Loyalist College. And of course, Dr. Don, if you would like to add something to this, please go ahead.
Ok, solo para dizer que eu estava utilizando a palavra graduação, é uma palavra português, mas a palavra em espanhol é pré-grado. Nossas carreiras aqui, pré-grado como pós-grado. Ok, Stacey, thank you.
Okay.
Aqui temos nossa associação com a Escola de Inglês, RCIIS, the Royal Canadian Institute of International Studies. É uma escola que está em Toronto, mas que está oferecendo aulas, classes de inglês, tanto em Toronto como hoje online. Então, essa associação é uma possibilidade real para vocês de aprender melhor sua inglês. E como nós outros temos essa associação, é uma possibilidade quando vocês têm o nível pré-requisito de inglês, de continuar estudando na Loyola College seguintemente.
Okay,
Okay,
students.
Stacey?
So another way to study in Canada without IELTS is to come to Canada and study English in an English language school. The Loyalist has partnered with RCIIS, which is Royal Canadian Institute of International Studies. Likewise, as our organization Northwestern Immigration Consultant, we also have tie-ups and partnerships with English schools in Toronto, Mississauga as well. Dr. Donnan, I did hear you mentioning something about online classes, I think, in Spanish. Would you be able to speak a little bit about that as well?
Sure. So the partnership with RCIIS, of course, allows students to either come to Toronto, to Canada, in order to study English and bring their English to the level required in order to allow them to then continue studying with Loyalist College. So this is an agreement that we have between the two institutions that will allow you as an international student to get a conditional letter of acceptance, meaning that you'll study English with RCIIS either in person or today, because of the pandemic situation, it is also possible to study online from your home, wherever that may be in the world.
Okay, perfect. That sounds good. And I think this slide talks about the financial aspect of Loyal
Sí,
Scholar. Mhm.
sí. Nuestros custos anual estão aqui. Importante de ver o subtotal de quase 16.500 mil dólares canadenses. Isso é nosso preço para estudar de novo por um ano em Loyalist College. Isso é o custo especificamente hablando de Belleville. O custo é um pouquinho menor para pessoas que querem ir estudar em Toronto, porque nosso novo campus é um pouquinho menor, não tem tantas facilidades como nosso campus maior em Belleville, mas o custo anual está entre os dois campuses entre 15.800 hasta esse valor de 16.500 dólares por ano.
Dad, I'm going to try to explain this. So when we speak about bursaries and scholarships, what I've understood is athletic scholarships, you can apply for them before coming to Canada, and you can get a scholarship up to $3,000 per year. Whereas students, if you do apply for a scholarship with regards to your studies, you would need to be physically present in Canada to apply for such scholarships. Also, the cost that you do see on the screen at the moment, this is the average tuition cost. And we've also given you a breakdown of what it comprises. This is the cost per year and needs to be paid in advance before you come to Canada. Of course, yes.
One part only, right? The first semester payment is made from the student's home country, and the second semester payment is made shortly before the second semester.
Okay. And would you like to add anything else that I'm missing out on, Dr. Donnan?
Sure. Então, solo queria destacar o que Stacey está hablando, porque ela está hablando também das oportunidades de becas. O Loyalist College tem becas disponíveis para pessoas praticando desportes. É uma aplicação que é possível de preencher online. E nós temos, claro, outras becas disponíveis quando vocês começarem seus estudos no campus ou Canadá. Okay, Stacey, thank you.
Dr. Dolan, would you like to perhaps explain something in English if I must have forgotten it regarding this slide in
Sure. Yeah, just I guess one important difference that I was mentioning in Spanish is that this cost that we see in the middle of the screen of $16,500 is the annual cost per year for any and all of our programs at the undergraduate or the postgraduate level.
Okay.
And that there is a difference between the costs at the Belleville campus and the Toronto campus. The Toronto campus academic tuition cost per year is $15,800. And I explained that that difference is due to the fact that it's a smaller, newer campus with not the same level of facilities as our main campus in Belleville. So there is a difference in the costs, but of course, important to keep in mind that there is that cost of living difference in Toronto as well. So although you pay a little bit less in the tuition, of course, keep in mind that the cost of living is more expensive when you're in Toronto as a student.
Which is very true. Now, speaking about the residence.
Sim, então, importante de destacar aqui que no campus de Loyola College, em Belleville, especificamente, nós temos residências para nossos estudantes. Nós temos dois tipos de residências, mais antiga, mais moderna, e essas residências têm outro custo, o custo, claro, da vida. Então, nós estamos olhando antes o preço anual de estudar, mas a outra parte do custo é aqui, a custo da vida, alojamento, comida, transporte, etc. Okay, Stacey.
Students, a lot of y'all are not aware that many colleges do have a residence on campus. Similarly, Loyola College does have a residence on their Belleville campus, if I'm right. Yes, and these are affordably priced. As you can see from the diagram here, that is an apartment. It has 3 bedrooms, a living room, and washroom. And since this is right on campus, you do not need to live away. Of course, you do have the option of finding your own accommodation as well. Loyola College does help you in looking for accommodation. But since there is residence on their campus, it is closer to all your classrooms. It's closer to all the extracurricular activities that happen on campus. And often at times, as you all can see, all these activities on the right side of the slide, these do take place on campus, and it's a great way to meet other international students. It's a great way to network. As you all will learn once you all are in college, networking is very important, not just for a future job, but you never know who might be able to help you in class or in your further career as well. Dr. Doran, would you like to add anything else in English for this slide?
Gracias, Stacey. Só para dizer também como Stacey está falando, que nós podemos ajudar pessoas que querem morar também com famílias, com outros estudantes fora do campus. Tem essa possibilidade também. E Stacey está destacando que as oportunidades de morar com outros estudantes on campus como off campus são muito importantes também para essas possibilidades de fazer de networking, para encontrar empregos, etc. Okay, thank you, Stacey.
Okay, students, I really hope that you all enjoyed learning about Loyalist College. Now that you all have an idea about the residence, about the fee structure, let's look at the average number of students who received their study permits in the year 2018 and 2019. As you all can see, that 2019 had an increase of over 50,000 study permits as compared to 2018. The Government of Canada has also said that they are looking forward to accepting over 450,000 study permits this year. So if you are looking forward to studying in Canada, I think this year would be the perfect time for you to think about which college and which program you would like to study at and fill out an application. Over to you, Dr. Donnan.
Sim, desculpa. Eu estava lendo as mensagens das pessoas aqui. Então, só queria dizer que se vocês têm outras perguntas, é possível de entrar em contato com Stacey, tanto em espanhol como em inglês, para qualquer outras dúvidas. Okay, Stacey, thank you.
Now that we've taken a look at how many students have been accepted to come to Canada to study, let's take a look at how many students were accepted from Peru, Ecuador, Colombia, and Mexico. As you all can see from this slide, 2018 and 2019, there are certain differences in the number of study permits that were accepted from these countries. As you all can see, since 2018 and 19, the number of study permits from these countries has just been increasing. So although now you can see in Peru that there was 695 in 2019, this year, I think we could see an increase of maybe 600 more, likewise for all the other countries as well.
Importante de mostrar nesse slide que tem interesse cada ano mais importante de países hispanófonos para ir estudar o Canadá. Todos os países na América Latina estão enviando estudantes ao Canadá para continuar os estudos. E tem vários exemplos aqui de Peru, Equador, Colômbia, México, mas, claro, tem estudantes indo ao Canadá de outros países da América Latina, como a América Central também.
Thank you so much, Dr. Donnan. So students, now that you all know roughly how many individuals come to Canada to study from their respective countries, it is very important to know the eligibility criteria to see if you qualify. Some important factors are if you already have a post-secondary education and wish to study in Canada, perhaps you wish to study a postgraduate diploma or your master's in Canada. Also, you would have to have a good level of English proficiency in all modules, such as speaking, listening, reading, and writing. This can be done by taking the IELTS. Of course, students, if you feel like your English language is not up to the mark, that's why this webinar is there to tell you all that we can overcome that. The third eligibility criteria is that you must have funds in your account to prove that you would be financially capable of meeting the tuition fees and living expenses. And don't worry, students, like I mentioned earlier, even if you do not qualify under all these eligibility criteria, if your English language is not good, don't worry, that does not mean that you cannot come to Canada and study. There is always a way, and we can take care of your case. Over to you, Dr. Donnan.
Ok. Gracias, Stacey. Os critérios de elegibilidade são aqui para nós. Estudando o Canadá, tanto em college como em universidade, vai necessitar de diploma de educação secundária ou uma diploma de pré-grado, por exemplo, se vocês já fizerem estudos na universidade onde vocês são. Claro que cada college e universidade vai ter nível de inglês pré-requisito. Então, nós estávamos falando de testes de inglês como IELTS, TOEFL, Duolingo. Então, é importante de ver com Northwestern onde vocês querem ir, tanto college, tanto universidade, para saber melhor quais são esses níveis de inglês pré-requisito. E, finalmente, Stacy está também destacando que é importante de ter a possibilidade de mostrar quando você está acceptado na uma instituição acadêmica ou Canadá, de mostrar a imigração canadense, o governo canadense, que vocês são capazes também financeiramente de assumir os custos dos estudos, tanto como os custos da vida.
Thank you, Dr. Donovan. So students, as you all know, we at Northwestern Immigration have helped a lot of students come and get accepted in colleges and universities here in Canada without IELTS. So how do you do that? This is done by taking an ESL course prior to the start of your program that you wish to pursue. Another way is to take an English course at any English school where you would receive a letter of completion to show that you meet the language requirements. This is something that Dr. Donnan also spoke about earlier, where you would need to come to Canada and study English. And Dr. Donnan also spoke about RCIIS, where you can take an online English program as well. Is that right, Dr. Donnan?
Exactly.
Okay, perfect. So one may be able to study in a Canadian university without taking the IELTS examination if they can fulfill one or more of the following requirements. Number one, you must provide proof that you have studied in an English medium school. Number two, provide proof that the official language of your country is English. And number three, which is the last option, is that you can attend a Canadian English language school for a semester or for a year. Over to you, Dr. Donnan.
Ok. Graças mais uma vez, Stacy. Stacy está destacando as possibilidades que vocês teriam para estudar e aperfeiçoar seu inglês, tanto em casa, em seus países respectivos, como as possibilidades no Canadá. Tem, claro, o curso de ESL, English as a Second Language. Tem escolas de proficiência de inglês, tanto fora do Canadá como dentro do Canadá, como nosso exemplo de RCIIS. E a importância, claro, de completar, como eu estava destacando antes, os pré-requisitos de inglês para as universidades e os colleges. E Stacy está, mais uma vez, destacando que Northwestern tem várias parcerias, tanto com Loyalist College, com outras universidades e colleges, e outras escolas de inglês, que poderia ajudar todos vocês a encontrar a possibilidade de aperfeiçoar seu inglês. Thank you, Stacy.
Thank you, Dr. Donnan. So students, we are excited to announce that this summer, we will be helping those students in grade 11 and 12 to learn English in Canada through one of our summer camps. This will allow those in high school to prepare and study English in order to get admission to a university or a college in Canada. You will not be required to get a study permit for this summer camp. For those who are interested, please contact us post this webinar and we can give you more information on what you can expect from the summer camp. I'm sorry, Dr.
Sim.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Desculpa. Uma oportunidade super interessante para todos vocês que Northwestern está organizando, oferecendo essas possibilidades de fazer acampamentos de verão para essas idades de 15 até 19, para aprender cada vez melhor inglês o Canadá. Isso também ela está destacando que não se requer permisso de estudo. Então, isso facilita a oportunidade de vir estudar e aperfeiçoar seu inglês no Canadá. Thank you, Stacey.
Thank you, Dr. Donan. So this is especially important if you are a Mexican citizen or someone who has a valid visitor visa. So there is a special provision for you. If you have a valid visitor visa that allows you to enter Canada, you can receive a study permit much easier and faster than other students, and the process is much simpler. So if you come under the Mexican citizen category, or if you do have a visitor visa, please get in touch with us and we shall give you more details. With you, Dr. Donan.
Ok, sim, interessante. O que Stacey está mostrando para nós aqui é que pessoas especificamente do México que têm essa visa de visitante válida tem uma provisão especial que ajuda na obtenção de visto de estudante. Se vocês têm mais perguntas, só tem que entrar em contato com Northwestern para saber melhor como funciona. Okay, Stacey.
Thank you, Dr. Donan. So students, now that you all have learned about Canada and about the eligibility criteria to come to Canada and study without IELTS, let me introduce you now to Northwestern Immigration Consultants. So our organization is situated in Mississauga, Ontario, and is a leading immigration consultancy firm. We help people from all over the world and provide honest and sincere feedback and advice to all our clients. We have strong Google reviews, as you can see, and our consultants practice in a professional and ethical conduct. Dr. Donan, would you just be able to give them a gist about our organization and how we have good Google reviews and help students to come to Canada as well?
Sim, claro. Então, o que Stacey está mostrando aqui é que Northwestern é uma consultoria de imigração especializado com muitos anos de experiência. Então, é possível para eles de ajudar vocês de qualquer parte do mundo para vir encontrar oportunidades de estudos no Canadá. Tem uma pessoa que a gente vai ver daqui a momento também que habla espanhol bem melhor que eu, que trabalha e que faz parte da organização, dos fundadores mesmo da consultoria. Thank you, Stacey.
Thank you, Dr. Don. The language, it sounds so good. I'm just lost in the words. And for all our students, of course, you'll know that Northwestern will always be there at every step to help you in your study permit applications and your visa. But also, there are other benefits to our services. We do not only help you with your study visa, but we also help you post completion of your studies. Let me tell you how. So we first strategize a pathway that fits your needs. And upon completion of your studies, we help you to find a way that leads to a permanent residence. So, how we do that? Once you complete your studies, we help you get something which is known as a PGWP, which is also known as a postgraduate work permit. This is very important as it allows you to legally work in Canada full time. Of course, as a student, you are allowed to work part time in Canada up to 20 hours. But upon completion of your studies, if you do not have a postgraduate work permit, you are legally not entitled to work in Canada. So, we do help you get your PGWP, and along with that, we do help students get a job as well in a suitable field, which would lead you to applying for permanent residence. Of course, there are many times you have questions that you would like answers to. We are always available through a phone call or WhatsApp, and we can always answer your questions and coach you on what to do next.
Ok. Stacy está destacando mais uma vez os benefícios dos serviços de North Vista. Né? Eles poderiam ajudar tanto como a obtenção dos vistos de estudante, como pelas partes seguintes, quando os estudantes estão terminando os estudos, tem outras possibilidades de ficar no Canadá trabalhando. Então se Stacy estava falando especificamente da Postgraduate Work Permit. É uma possibilidade que vai deixar pessoas ficar trabalhando no Canadá por mais alguns anos. E North Vista, claro, poderia ajudar com esse processo, tanto como o processo de residência permanente pelo seguinte também.
Perfect. Thank you, Dr. Doran. Thank you very much for explaining the benefits. Now, students, of course, you all know Dr. Doran, you know me. Allow me to introduce our two senior consultants who will be helping you step by step to achieve your dreams. Our two main consultants, Mr. Alex Romano and Mr. Nabil Khan, have over 30 years of combined experience with a vast variety of cases in various Canadian immigration streams. Alex Romano is the president and co-founder of North Vista Immigration Consultants. He holds the designation of Regulated Canadian Immigration Consultant and is a chartered professional accountant. He is a member in good standing and was granted a license to practice immigration law under the Immigration Consultants of Canada Regulatory Council. Mr. Nabil Khan is the Vice President of North Vista and an immigration research specialist on matters pertaining to Canadian immigration law and regulations. As the co-founder of North Vista Immigration Consultants, Mr. Khan is an immigration consultant graduate of CSIC E-Academy. He brings to North Vista integration of East Asian values in a Canadian setting. He too is a member in good standing and was granted a license to practice immigration law under the Immigration Consultants of Canada Regulatory Council. Dr. Don, of course, it would be amazing if you could just introduce Mr. Nabil Khan and Mr. Alex Romano. Of course, I do not expect you to remember all the designations, but just to give our viewers some enlightenment on who will be helping them through their process.
Sim, posso. Então, como eu estava dizendo antes, essas duas pessoas aqui do lado esquerdo, Alex Romano, o presidente de North Vista, e também uma pessoa da América Latina que habla espanhol, que é uma profissional qualificado na área de imigração, e então que poderia trabalhar na equipe ajudando todos vocês que têm interesse de vir da América Latina estudar o Canadá. Nabil, o vice-presidente, é associado, parceiro, que ajuda pessoas também, é uma pessoa também qualificada na área de imigração, etc., e que está ajudando pessoas do mundo oriente a vir estudar, trabalhar no Canadá. Então, uma equipe qualificada com pessoas também como Stacy e outras pessoas na equipe que estão lá para ajudar vocês. Okay,
Thank you so
Stacy.
much, Dr. Donan. Lastly, students, you can always connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course on YouTube. You will, of course, find this video after a while on YouTube. You can also find Dr. Donan in my previous webinar on our YouTube channel as well.
Ok, excelente. Stacy está só destacando que este vídeo vai aparecer no YouTube daqui um momento. Se vocês têm interesse de assistir outros vídeos da Northvista, inclusive um outro vídeo que Stacy e eu fiz juntos, algumas semanas atrás, que eles têm YouTube channel especificamente falando das oportunidades e os associados de Northvista.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Dr. Donan. And students, if you all would like to connect with me, you all can always send me a message through WhatsApp on this phone number. You can also send me an email on info@northwestimmigration.com. Thank you so much for watching. Let's move on to questions and answers. Dr. Darcy, have you received any questions from our viewers regarding today's webinar? Take a look.
You know, I was looking earlier, and it seems that we have answered everything.
Okay.
Então, só importante, vou destacar que Stacy está dizendo aqui, como é possível de ver, esse número e também o número de WhatsApp. Stacy, just to confirm, I was explaining that Alex Romano is a Spanish speaker also from Latin America. And so, of course, it's okay for people to send messages and other questions either to the WhatsApp or to the email, also in Spanish, correct?
Yes, we do have another colleague of mine also speaks in Spanish. So any queries that are in Spanish, I can always forward it on to him and we can help them. That's no problem at all. Okay. Thank you so much for mentioning that as well.
Ok, perfeito. Então, Stacy está dizendo, confirmando que na equipe, fora de Alex, tem outra pessoa que habla espanhol. Então, qualquer dúvida é possível de enviar mensagens, perguntas em espanhol como em inglês.
Perfect.
Okay, we have one question here. Puedo aceder aí programa de estudo de inglês e viajar com minha família? Okay, someone is asking if it's possible to study English and travel with their family.
Okay.
Então, Stacy, I don't know if you would like to take a first response to that in English. I can follow up in Spanish or vice versa.
So I do think that when they do come here, of course, they can come here with their family if their family does get a visa. So while you are studying in Canada, of course, your family is welcome to come as well. You can stay with them. And I don't think there's any restriction on you traveling with your family. But of course, that being said, due to COVID, there are a lot of restrictions at the moment in different cities and provinces. So of course, if your family does end up coming with you, you may not get to travel as much. But to answer your question, of course, your family can come if they do get a visa. They can stay with you. You can go and look around Canada or Belleville or Ontario as well.
Ok. O que Stacy está dizendo é que fora da pandemia, claro tudo é mais fácil. Por enquanto, nesses dias, tem muitas restrições para pessoas que querem viajar, visitar o Canadá. É ainda uma possibilidade, mas tem, daqui a muito pouco, outras restrições de quarentena que vão ser implementadas em mais ou menos uma semana. Mas Stacey está destacando que, claro, mesmo pessoas que querem ir estudar inglês têm a possibilidade de vir com a família, sabendo que a família tem que ter também vistos necessários para vir ficar no Canadá. Okay, Stacey?
Yes, so I think okay, let me just check more questions.
Por favor, Carolina.
No. Okay, let's see this something new. People are thanking us.
So, ¿cómo hacemos las personas que no manejamos el inglés? O que eu estava destacando que tem várias possibilidades para aprender inglês, tanto da casa que trabalhando diretamente com Northwestern. Então, só tem que entrar em contato pelo WhatsApp, pelo e-mail, para descobrir melhor essas possibilidades e essas associações que Northwestern tem com outras escolas, de inglês.
Whatever Dr. Donnan said.
Yeah. Just highlighting again that you have different partnerships with different language schools, and that for people who are interested to learn more about that, to send you either a WhatsApp or an email, because today they have all the opportunities that we were mentioning earlier, Stacey, to study in those schools either in Canada or from their home countries virtually.
Of course, of course. Thank you very much for adding that as well. I think that is very important for students to know. So please do not think that your chances to come to Canada are slim just because you do not speak English. There is always a way out. You can come to Canada and study English. There are different proofs that you can provide to the government as well in order to come to Canada and study in a college or university. So, whatever be the case, you can always get in touch with us. We can determine your eligibility by just asking you a few questions. So, please do not hesitate to get in touch with us. My WhatsApp number is on the screen. You can always get in touch with me. You can send us an email and we'll be happy to help you.
Ok. Stacey está só lhe dizendo que tem todas essas possibilidades de vir ao Canadá, mesmo com um inglês nível baixo. Tem várias possibilidades disponíveis para pessoas. É uma possibilidade real de vir até nesse momento ao Canadá para estudar inglês, tanto para continuar estudando num college ou uma universidade. Só mandar mensagens. Okay, Stacey.
Thank you, Dr. Don. I think we are good with the questions since we covered them multiple times in English and in Spanish as well. If there is anything that you would like to add from your side, please go ahead. If there's anything that you would like to speak to our students about.
Okay, Stacey. So just quickly in English again, thank you, Northwestern. Muchas gracias a Northwestern para essa oportunidade, para nossa associação juntos. Hoje, a possibilidade também de falar com todos vocês na América Latina, é importante de saber que o Canadá está ainda aberto, ainda querendo acolher todos vocês. Com essa pandemia, claro, tudo mais complicado, tudo mais difícil, mas o governo do Canadá está cada vez tentando comunicar como o Canadá está oferecendo possibilidades tanto do lado de estudos como do lado de imigração para ajudar todos vocês. Muitas graças mais uma vez pela atenção.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Donan, especially to you. I know it's not very easy to translate all the slides and speak in Spanish and answer questions. Thank you so much for taking time out from your day to have this webinar with us and explain to students how they can come to Canada without IELTS. Without you, this wouldn't have been possible. So thank you very much for being a co-host with me today.
Thank you again, Stacey. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. And to all our viewers, I really hope that this webinar was very informative for you all. If you all do have questions, you know where to reach us. All the information was provided. You all can always send me an email and I can connect with you all on WhatsApp as well. Thank you for patiently waiting till the end of this webinar to ask your questions. So have a lovely day and take care. Thank you so much, Dr. Donan. Take care as well.
You too, Stacey. Thank you again. Gracias a todos.
Bye-bye.